Hello, everyone. My name is Sarah Delacondro. Welcome back. If you are new here, this channel is all about the cities and towns that make up the great state of Massachusetts, up to date real estate news, and homeowner tips and tricks. So, if any of that sounds interesting to you, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you get notified whenever a new video drops. Today, we're talking all about Sudbury, a quaint, historically rich town about 20 miles west of Boston. We're going to take a look at what makes Sudbury so attractive to buyers, what the local real estate market is doing. You won't want to miss it. Stick around. As always, I have my handy dandy notes here so I don't forget anything. Let's start off with the basics. Sudbury has a population of about 19,000 people. It is a sparsely populated suburb, so it's not very densely populated. And in fact, some areas I would say is almost rural, considering how close it is to Boston. Lots of country roads, not a whole lot of sidewalks. So it's not a super walkable town. Lots of homes are set back, spread out, lots of wooded lots. If you're looking for privacy, if you're looking for a quiet setting, you can find that in Sudbury. Okay, when you look at Sudbury on a map, you'll find that it's surrounded by Framingham, Lincoln, Stowe, Marlborough, Maynard, and Wayland. It's about 20 miles west of Boston, about 25 miles east of Worcester, about an hour south of Manchester, New Hampshire, about an hour north of Providence, Rhode Island, and about 4 hours from New York City. When it comes to major roads that go through Sudbury, you really just have Route 20 and Route 27. Route 20 isn't a highway, it isn't a country road, it's like a hybrid. And Route 27 is more like a country road than a highway. So if you're someone who's commuting, there really isn't a direct way to get to a highway. You got to go into Weston, or you have to go into Framingham and then sort of weave your way through to hop on the Pike if you want to, take the most direct route into Boston. Route 20 does go east and west, so you can take that into Boston, but you're going to deal with a lot more lights and stop and go. When it comes to transportation, Sudbury is somewhat lacking, but other than public transportation options for seniors, Sudbury is a very car dependent town. You don't have an inner town transit system. There is no commuter rail that goes through Sudbury, no public busing, and no subway. You can go to Weston, you can go to Wayland, you can go to Framingham, Waltham, you can hit some of the surrounding towns and hop on public transportation that way. But as far as what is in Sudbury, other than your car and walking, there really are no other options. Okay, let's talk about schools. Sudbury has 4 elementary schools, 1 middle school, and it has 1 regional high school that it shares with Lincoln. And if public schools don't suit your needs, there are private schools around Sudbury. As far as things to do, Sudbury has such a rich history. If you are a history buff, you have to stop by the Sudbury Museum and take a look at their exhibits. There's a timeline of Sudbury's involvement in the Revolutionary War, early settlers, and the artifacts that are on display are really cool. Plus, you can get some Sudbury merch. In Sudbury alone, there are over 30 places that have historical value, including the Four Arch Bridge, the Revolutionary War Cemetery, lots and lots of historic homes, the Redstone Schoolhouse, and of course, I can't forget the Wayside Inn. In the fall, you don't need to go to New Hampshire. You don't need to go to Vermont. You certainly don't need to go to Maine. Drive through Sudbury, go to the Wayside Inn, have a bite to eat, sit down and enjoy the beautiful scenery, the scenic roads, the beautiful trees, and you've got your picturesque New England. Sudbury does have a lot of athletic fields, pickleball courts, tennis courts, basketball courts. There are lots of playgrounds to choose from. Through Parks and Rec, you can sign up for soccer, basketball, baseball, skiing, archery, dodgeball. There's lots of options, and there are lots of adaptive programs too. Of course, you also have the town pool, and there are lots of other programs for adults and seniors, youth and preschool alike. If you're into the arts, there's the Performing Arts Connection, and there's the Sudbury Art Association, which raises funds for different art initiatives in Sudbury. As far as Sudbury's downtown, there really isn't a downtown. There are a few little spots to shop throughout Sudbury, but there isn't really a commercialized downtown. Sudbury itself is not very commercialized at all. You'll find that, it's very quaint. It really takes pride in its public lands, its history, and commercializing Sudbury isn't really high on the town's, list of priorities. If you are looking for something to do, you can hop over to Weston, you can hop over to Concord, you can hop over to Framingham, Natick, Wellesley, and you can find your shops, you can find your restaurants, coffee houses, things like that. And that's not to say that there are none of those in Sudbury. It's just to say that there's not a lot to choose from in Sudbury. Overall, I would call Sudbury a sleepy town. I would call Sudbury historically rich town. If you're into hiking and trails, you can find lots of that in Sudbury, lots of protected lands, wooded lots, meadows. You can find all of that in Sudbury. Okay, let's talk real estate. For the most part, you will find homes on larger size lots. Like I said earlier, lots of homes are typically set back, a little bit more spread out. It's not unusual to find a home built in the 1700s or the 1800s with a mid century home right next door. When it comes to styles, you'll find it all in Sudbury. Okay, I'm going to look at my notes for this. Let's look back at 2024 and see what the real estate market did. As far as single family homes, there were almost 200 homes sold at 184. The average days on market was 30 days, and the average sale price was $1.358 million. So, not a cheap place to live. The least expensive home that sold in 2024 was $495,000, and the most expensive home sold for $4.3 million. So, as you can see, gigantic range of home prices, but most of them fall right above that $1 million mark. When it comes to condos, a lot fewer condos sold, only 43. The average days on market was 34, and the average sale price was just over $800,000 at $817,000. The least expensive condo sold was $400,000, and the most expensive condo sold was just over $1 million at 1.126. So, still very expensive, but more affordable than your average single family home sold. When it comes to rentals, not much of a rental market in Sudbury, only 22 rentals with 43 average days on market, and the average rent is just over $4,000. The least expensive rent was $1,450, and it was essentially a one bed, one bath, 516-foot rental. So essentially like a studio. And the most expensive was just over $6,000 for monthly rent. So there you have it with that. Now, like I said, Sudbury is not a very affordable place to live, but people who live in Sudbury tend to love living in Sudbury. They love the fact that it's a little bit off the beaten path, that it's quiet, it's a little sleepy, lots of scenic roads, lots of country roads. The fall is just such a beautiful time to drive through Sudbury. It's really a quaint place to live, and people really pride themselves on living in Sudbury. So if Sudbury sounds interesting to you, reach out to me. I'll have my phone number on the screen somewhere. We can chat a little bit more about Sudbury and discuss your needs, your wants, and your budget. If Sudbury doesn't cut it for you, but you're interested in learning more about the cities and towns in and around Massachusetts, I'm happy to help. I work all over Eastern Mass. Again, give me a call. I'm happy to chat. It's never too early to start the conversation, whether you're buying or selling. It always takes longer than you anticipate. So, starting as early as you can is always the best way to go. At least that's what I say. And if you found this video helpful in any way, please hit that thumbs up. And if you're interested in learning more about the cities and towns in Massachusetts, updated real estate news, and homeownership tips and tricks, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that little bell so you get notified whenever a new video drops. Thanks for stopping by, and we'll see you again soon.